Hi, we're with Evan Goldberg. He leads the NetSuite business for Oracle. If you recall, NetSuite used to be an independent company, and now it's part of Oracle. So, Evan, let's walk through, just the big catch-up phase. It's been a few years since NetSuite's been acquired, and just catch us up on what's different.
So our priorities, since we became part of Oracle, have been very focused, really on three different things. One is expanding internationally because of Oracle's reach. The second is sort of going after the mass, the Fortune 5 million, they're often called, of companies that are outgrowing their initial, packaged software and need a more all-encompassing solution that can help them grow. And these are mid-market companies all over the world. In certain verticals, we found especially that there's a great affinity for what NetSuite's solution. NetSuite sort of tying together your commerce operations, your back office operations, your inventory, your accounting. As companies grow, they really get a hunger for that kind of solution that can scale. And while we're focused, we kind of have been given our swim lane as part of Oracle, which is companies, sort of from the late startup phase to hundreds of millions of dollars of revenue. We track our customers. So when we were independent, we were dealing maybe more with some larger enterprise billion-dollar companies, but a lot of our customers that we acquired then are growing into that size. So we still need the power to handle 1,000+ employees, billion+ in revenue. We have software companies going public. 13 of the 19 software companies that went public last year in the US were on NetSuite. And Danielle can get you an updated figure. It's something that's approximately right. Definitely well over 50%. That was true when we were independent. That continues to be true as part of Oracle. So some of it is more of the same, but more focus on international, more focus on the mass of mid-market, fast-growing companies, and more focus on the verticals where we've been very successful. Not-for-profit, retail, wholesale distribution, agencies, and other kind of project-based businesses, certainly software companies. So, I think the focus has delivered the results. And while we don't announce quarterly results, at times Mark Hurd has, said Oracle grew 60+% in one quarter, 30+% in other quarters. So that gives you an indication of the success we're having as part of Oracle.
Now, on the back end, did anything change as being a part of Oracle? I know you ran on Oracle's database, but are you running in Oracle's cloud, or
Right.
what's happened on the
That's
back end product part?
Yeah, that's one of the most exciting transformations. I mean, we are rapidly consuming Oracle's cloud infrastructure. And the promise for us is very similar to the promise that we give to our customers. We tell our customers, don't worry about upgrades, don't worry about tying together software, these kinds of things. We'll manage everything for you. And then we have to run databases, and we have to run operating systems, we have to run machines. And what the Oracle Cloud people say to us is, don't worry about plugging in machines and racking them and what version of the database you're on and all those kinds of things. That's what is going to be delivered to us, and we can just focus on delivering the best possible business application. So we're super excited about that. We have our first customer going live in an Oracle Cloud infrastructure data center in the next couple months in Europe. We're going to rapidly move all over the world with Oracle's cloud infrastructure. We are taking steps to ultimately end up on Oracle's autonomous database, which is another incredibly exciting technology for us, and I think for other companies. So, we're going to be part of the transformation where software companies deliver a service, and they don't have to worry about how the bits and the bytes actually get to the customer. They worry about making the best service they can.
When will that transition to Oracle's cloud be complete?
It'll take a few years for us to get all customers moved. We don't have an exact timeline. We're obviously incredibly careful about our customers' data, and we want to do this in stages. So the first milestone will be all new customers in certain markets like Germany, then all customers in Europe, then all new customers, I should say, all new customers in other geographies. And once we have all new customers going, then it's a process of transitioning existing customers over. And we expect within something like 3 years, give or take, we'll be 100% on Oracle's cloud infrastructure.
Okay. So I was reading some of the reviews about NetSuite on G2. And one of the things that was popping up a lot was pricing, where they were they're like discounts at the start, and then there were some problems, and there's just sort of like some concern about being part of Oracle. Can you address those and those reviews?
Yeah, we remain an independent business unit within Oracle, and we're operating very, very similarly to how we did before. And in fact, a huge fraction of the people have stayed. That's what's been one of the most exciting things is the retention we have. We now have better retention than we ever had as an independent company. So customers are working with the same account reps that they were working with before. We're following the same policies that we were before. And Oracle's philosophy with NetSuite has definitely been first do no harm. And so, those kinds of things have not changed. There's always, people upsell, people want to use more of the system. They want to use new capabilities in the system. And over the long, long term, of course, prices for everything go up. But I don't think there's really been, and I'm, managing the entire business unit, and it's certainly been my intention to make sure that our policies in dealing with our customers only improve. One of the things we're working really hard on is the customer journey to make sure that customers understand how to get their problems resolved, how to consume new releases, who to talk to. We don't want them to have to understand the NetSuite, org chart to be able to deal with us. So I think what customers are going to see is a better, smoother interaction with us. And again, really just continuity with how customers dealt with us before. And we've had incredible retention of our customers. And again, it's better than ever. Less customers are leaving NetSuite than did when we were an independent company. So I think we're doing something right in our customer interactions.
So how does the customer support game change as you focus on mid-market and small businesses, which, as we know, they don't exactly have a ton of IT resources to begin with?
Absolutely. Yeah.
How does that customer support, maintenance equation change?
Right. So we have an offering called Advanced Customer Support. So there's the standard support that you can get, and that helps you resolve problems. There's sort of like a health system analogy. That's if you have to go in to the urgent care clinic because something's wrong. But what about maintenance? What about prevention? So we've been working on a system, we call it Advanced Customer Support, and we're pushing it out to our customers. And that's more of a dedicated resource that knows your environment, can help you consume new capabilities, can even help you implement parts of the system that you haven't implemented before. And what we found is a real hunger among our customers. When we go out and visit them, they say, we know there's so much more we can do with NetSuite, but we don't necessarily, as you said, have the resources to investigate. So this is sort of an outsourced function of letting them get the most out of NetSuite. It can help them with admin. This is exactly because of the trend towards these companies that can't necessarily manage it all themselves, but want that personal sort of care like you'd get from your your general practitioner, your internist. And we've had amazing response. Customers are really happy with it. They can end it at any time, and they haven't been. So they've really been consuming this new kind of outsourced, really is sort of an outsourced IT role for NetSuite, which, honestly, is the kind of heartbeat of these companies, whether it be their order management or their project management. These are the business processes that are the lifeblood of their company, and they're using NetSuite to track them and make sure they're running properly and to improve them and make good decisions about those processes. So, that making that run effectively is what this kind of offering is all about. Been incredibly successful.
What's your role, or I guess what's the role of machine learning and AI from a product development standpoint, and then also as it applies to your customer base?
Yeah, that's a great question. And everybody's trying to figure that out. And there's so much experimentation going on, which is great. One thing we do know is that, small, mid-sized, fast-growing companies, they may have a ton of data, not necessarily in NetSuite, but in other systems, and tying those systems to their business results, and then using that data, tying that data together to make, even better decisions, unearth patterns that they might not have seen. This is a big focus for us. And we think that for our capabilities for NetSuite, there's 3 different kind of areas that we can add intelligence. And one is sort of intelligent insights. being able to unearth patterns, very straightforward things like who are you most likely to upsell your products for? What kind of customers look like they buy more? Let's focus on them. Intelligent interaction, that's things like unearthing things in the UI that are important to you. You seem to look at this data a lot. Maybe you want this KPI to be the focus of your dashboard. Or when you're approving items, these kind of items seem to be problematic. You reject them more. We're going to highlight those. So those are things in the UI. And intelligent automation is things like for supply chain, being able to find out what orders might not be on time and what you might be able to do to remediate without a user having to go in and investigate, and then actually doing some of the remediation. So changing where it's shipping from, these kinds of things, so that the customer gets their order on time. So there's a ton of areas that we can do. There's a lot of interesting AI work that can go in across companies. So we have a lot of data. Companies that want to sort of put their data in an anonymized pool, we can unearth insights for a group of similar companies. I mean, we have over 16,000 NetSuite customers, and that's growing very rapidly. So when we have tens of thousands of customers, I think there's a lot of insights that we can, in an opt-in basis, provide across industries, across verticals. So that's sort of where we fit in. And then for our customers, of course, they have, especially companies that are doing internet services, have so much data that they can mine, and just understanding what kind of tools can be brought to bear is something that everybody's trying to figure out. And we will certainly participate in exploring that, and then, unearthing to our customers what's worked for us. Maybe these things will work for you in the data that's critical for your business.
Okay. Who are you seeing in the field when you're competing for mid-market now?
Yeah, great question. Well, our biggest competition is sort of no decision. Companies that'll cobble through longer because they're not yet ready to make a transition, or there's other things going on in the business. In a lot of verticals, there really isn't much out there that competes with NetSuite in the sense of providing an overall solution in the cloud. There's typically a lot of sort of old school on-premise vertical software that does some part of what NetSuite does, and then they'll cobble it together with an accounting system or a web store, provider. So in that sense, for what we're selling overall, there's not a lot out there in the cloud. And we've spent 20 years building this. I've just been going through the road mapping process of what we're delivering in the next version. Very, very deep capabilities. Fast-growing mid-sized companies in verticals need very specific capabilities, and we have now 2,000 people in our product organization working on it. So I think this transition is going to happen. NetSuite's incredibly well positioned. We still have 1% or less market share in a lot of our industries and verticals. So there's a huge green field of companies that are using old software. There are certainly competitive situations where we might be competing with Microsoft and their Dynamics capabilities. But again, not necessarily as broad a solution, not yet fully delivered in the cloud. And it's a great time to be NetSuite, I have to say.
Does the idea of two-tier ERP, does that still apply to NetSuite?
I think it does. Oracle has cloud apps for large enterprises, and these are, NetSuite is one application. Everybody uses the same application. The Oracle's cloud apps are a series of applications, but built on a common data model with common analytics. That's more how enterprises consume software. They say, okay, we're going to install a new HR system. We're going to install a new supply chain system. And, for companies that choose Oracle, I think, and companies that are complex with lots of subsidiaries, they've bought lots of companies. They may be a holding company. If you see in the agency business, they're now sort of almost holding companies for lots of agencies that they want to remain independent and nimble in their particular markets, whether they be geographical markets or they deliver, particular capabilities. They want to keep them going, much like Oracle has with NetSuite. And we still run a good fraction of NetSuite on NetSuite. Not everything, but there's areas that it's really important that we keep the same, processes that are focused on our size business. We're getting pretty big now. So I think that in those types of companies that have that have roll-ups, that are buying companies, that want to have those companies remain nimble, I think there's an opportunity to run Oracle at the headquarters, Oracle's Cloud Apps at the headquarters, and NetSuite in some of the leaf nodes, and tie those together. And we're seeing more and more of those opportunities crop up.
Okay. As you know about all this integration and, tying these systems together, APIs are kind of the glue of the whole thing.
Right.
I'm increasingly seeing more API skirmishes, so to speak, where you have two companies that were integrating and then they wind up fighting over treatment of customer data, and then the integration kind of goes away, and then customers are trying to find workarounds. I guess, what's your take on the API economy, and sort of, I guess, is the glue of APIs going to hold up over time, or do you think vendors are going to start fighting more over it?
Right. I mean, I think the fact that, applications are now running on a somewhat common infrastructure, i.e. the internet, has made integrating them easier. But it hasn't solved the fact that they're still different applications with different views of the world. It's kind of like cell phones have made communication easier around the world. You can call someone in France, instantly, but they still might speak French. And
right.
So that's part of the sort of, to use a French phrase, that's sort of the raison d'etre of NetSuite, that, for your core business operations, for a product company, it's, inventory, delivery, order management, back office accounting, the web store. Those operations happen typically in these mid-sized companies all in NetSuite, and it's all one application. So it eliminates a lot of those API issues. But of course, NetSuite integrates with other applications. We have APIs. We're rolling out our latest generation REST API. And, there are these sort of broker companies, and Oracle has, an Oracle integration cloud with plugins for different applications to tie together things like Salesforce.com and NetSuite. And I think that, it's never going to end, the difficulty of taking two different sort of languages and translating between them. But it's incredibly important, and that REST is helping these things. I think these companies like Dell Boomi, Oracle's integration cloud, those are being incredibly helpful in kind of standardizing the interfaces and someone that you can rely on. I'm going to make sure these two things work together, because it is really complex, and simplification is the name of the game, and that's what we offer our customers.
Yeah, it's just a question, as more companies go multi-cloud, I just see integration becoming more and more of an issue going forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
All righty. Thanks for joining us.